It's really the Teslas and BMWs pulling up on a Saturday morning, right out the front, opening their boot and passing out all the goods to everyone. And they drive off to who knows where. They're the ones running the whole operation, she says. That was happening right in the open around the street, Friday at 5 p.m., Saturday at 11 a.m. like clockwork, every week. The trader says she can't understand how the dealing can happen so openly in front of CCTV cameras. That's when we discovered the next layer of dodgy activity on the street, which I think contributes a lot to the daily nature of the street, which is absentee, negligent, almost criminal landlords, she says. There is a shadow economy of sorts on the street. The trader says many payments on Victoria Street are still in cash and not just for small amounts. Landlords often demand cash payments and often get it for deposits and all kinds of stuff, she says. Then there's absolutely zero care for the actual street, or the precinct, or even the buildings themselves, really. Because a lot of absentee landlords don't happen to be in the country, they don't really care what happens to the street, they are just assets and numbers on a spreadsheet. Absentee landlords have frustrated the city of Yarra in its bid to clean up Victoria Street. Yarra's Mayor Claudia Nguyen and Economic Development Coordinator Simon Osborne walked with the age down the middle stretch of Victoria Street where many buildings are unoccupied and tagged with graffiti. A lot of them are absentee owners, Osborne says. I've called a number of operating businesses to say, can I activate your vacant property? And they've said, oh, do I own that one still? It's a part of a whole portfolio, and shockingly they just don't care. Out of sight, out of mind. A spokeswoman for Yarra says Victoria Street is patrolled for litter and rubbish every day and the council provides syringe cleansing and nightly street sweeping to get rid of dog and human waste. Yarra's own 2022 survey, however, found more than 1 in 4 residents feel unsafe in or around Victoria Street. We acknowledge that there are concerns out there from the local community, and we make sure that we're present. So we have outreach workers in the area, Nguyen says. We've got the local learning bank, a community space in the former Commonwealth Bank building, where we want to make sure that it's activated and people feel like they've got a space that they can feel connected to. The council has also helped establish a beer garden and outdoor dining area in a disused car park known as Abbott's Yard. However, the venue has been closed for the last 6 months and only reopened this week. Local Judy Ryan campaigned for the establishment of the Injecting Room and is the co-founder of the Victoria Street Alive group, which has organized art exhibitions and worked to rejuvenate the area. Ryan says Victoria Street was in crisis before the Injecting Room opened. There were human beings collapsed everywhere. Ambulances were blocking the roads and trams in Victoria Street, in our laneway, the sirens, it was like a nightmare, she says. Ryan says there will always be people using drugs in Victoria Street because its location is convenient to many modes of public transport. Our campaign was to improve amenity, and the first thing to improve amenity was to manage the people that were injecting and dying in our streets, she says. I don't care how you spin the story of the Injecting Room, but I can tell you having dead people in the street is not good for amenity. We don't have that anymore. Ryan has been campaigning for the introduction of smaller medically supervised injecting rooms across Melbourne and is focused on improving the streetscape in Victoria Street, which she says is hampered by disinterested landlords. They are just gorgeous properties. They are old Art Deco properties that are just empty and falling into decay, she says. There's got to be some understanding between what the shop owners want and what the residents want. They're letting them go to rack and ruin, and it's causing angst with the community that loves living there. Division within the community is clear in the competing Facebook groups, with Richmond 3,121 inches showcasing local art, streetscapes and traders, and Richmond 3,121 uncensored, and the Move the Injecting Room groups providing an unvarnished view of local sentiment. When asked on Facebook what could be done to revitalize the area, locals suggest establishing more outdoor dining, bike lanes, greenery, cleanup, restoration of buildings, a greater police presence, and relocating the Injecting Room. Architect Catherine Sunderman, principal at MGS Architects and president of the Urban Design Forum Australia, was involved in the creation of the North Richmond Master Plan. She says the area's accessibility and connection into the city is an incredible asset, but also has a negative side as it makes it a convenient place for drug transactions. Its biggest problem is the issue with safety and perceptions of safety there, she says. The best thing you can do is have more people there and more reasons for people to go there. Sunderman says Victoria Street also battles the same issues faced by many local high streets with declining retail demand. The classic thing with a lot of high streets is they have historically been 100% retail, but obviously that is not our future. It has to be a bigger mix between retail and services like health, accountants and perhaps co-working and office spaces, she says. The rise of delivery services like Uber Eats and a diversity of restaurant cuisines across Melbourne means people no longer have to go to Victoria Street for Vietnamese food. A spokeswoman for the government says it has spent more than $200 million across the North Richmond precinct since 2018 on improved experiences, safety and security, public amenity, and improved access to health and social support services. She did not respond to the Age's questions on the potential for relocating the injecting room or the government's plans for a second injecting room in the CBD. Everyone has the right to feel safe in their community. That's why outreach teams have been expanded, and Victoria Police is a highly visible presence in the North Richmond area, with regular proactive patrols and ongoing enforcement activity, the government spokeswoman says. A spokeswoman for Victoria Police says they have a strong focus on Victoria Street with 11 alleged drug traffickers arrested in the last month and $150,000 worth of drugs seized from the streets. Arrests included that of a 76-year-old woman. Following an extensive investigation into street dealing and a large amount of heroin and methamphetamine found during warrants at properties in Richmond in August. We prioritize foot, bike and vehicle patrols of Victoria Street and want to reassure the community we're working around the clock to detect and deter crime, the spokeswoman says. On top of overt uniform patrols, plain-clothed police are also regularly in the area, gathering intelligence to make arrests. Victoria Street is in a catch-22 situation, with experts saying more people on the street, walking along, sitting and eating outside, would make the area feel safer. However, traders are reluctant to install outdoor dining because of safety concerns, and shuttered shops make the street feel deserted. Liu points to Thai's full-length folding glass windows which line the street. It's changed now, she says. It's Victoria Street, junkies. Which is not so nice. We can't open these or have outdoor seating. It's not safe.